It's a disappointing end to the school year. After student protests over the war in Gaza led to violent confrontations with police, New York's Columbia University canceled its main commencement ceremony, opting instead to hold smaller celebrations at individual schools on campus.
I think we've all had a really hard last few weeks, and for it to end this way, I mean, in the grand scheme of things too, like we started online as freshmen, so in totality, it's really difficult to end this way.
Some are criticizing Columbia for making the move after clearing out a protest encampment.
The university has been saying in a lot of the emails addressed to the students and the rest of the university community that the encampment and every other action that protesters were taking was the reason that they were threatening to cancel commencement, and the encampment has been cleared for a significant amount of time now.
As pro-Palestinian protests swept across U.S. campuses, some universities rushed to update their policies on free speech and protests.
I think this is definitely a wake-up call for universities that perhaps may not have had to enforce their protest policies to an extent that they had to do the last couple months.
Other U.S. college administrations have agreed to negotiate with students. At Rutgers University, this resulted in the school agreeing to add an Arab cultural center, as well as to other concessions, in exchange for the voluntary dismantling of the protesters' encampment.
This is obviously a very hot-button political issue, and I think students just want to be heard. So giving the students a seat at the table, allowing them to have a say in what happens, I think that's a great idea.
Many students have called for universities to divest from Israeli businesses whose interests are tied to the war in Gaza. Not an easy task, experts say.
Divestment becomes more complicated simply because of the way that funds are invested. It's even spread as far as, Apple and Google, who have business in that part of the Middle East. I think 90% of the S&P companies are involved in some kind of, business. So how do you really break that out?
But student concerns shouldn't be dismissed either, she says, and universities should be transparent about their actions.
Sharing what we're doing and helping students and others understand what it is that we're doing, and most importantly, why we're doing what we're doing and why we're making the decision that we're making.
The University of Southern California has also canceled its commencement ceremony. At the University of Michigan, protesters briefly disrupted commencement services there. Student protests may have a storied history on college campuses, but it seems there are still lessons to be learned about how to handle demonstrations in a way that all sides can support. Trinh, VOA News, New York.